Letters from a Slave Girl, Part 1, Mama, pages 31 to 50. February 1828. Dear Mama, my first dance come about because of you. Well, the master at Hayes Plantation tell his people that they can have a sociable this Saturday night. Weather been warm all winter, and folks saying the persimmon beer they made last fall is about right. And Uncle Mark, he say any master that lets the slaves have some fun is a smart man. You being Gran's daughter, I guess you know what she think about it. She set her jaw and say, "No, Harriet, you can't go." Then a tear big as the end of my finger slipped down my face. "Don't be crying on me," she said, "because Miss Maria won't let you run around at night anyhow." Then I remember, Mama, you told me once that you and Daddy met at a dance, so I say real nice, Gran, if it weren't for dancing, Mama and Daddy would never have got together. And if it weren't for them getting together, you wouldn't have me and John to love you. And if you didn't have me and John to love you... Then Gran got all crabbed and cut me off. But first thing you know, she spoke to the missus, and Cousin Fanny is telling me she going to walk me over to Hayes. Fanny, she'd been staying with Gran ever since Gran moved into a little cottage on King Street, and I guess it is God's will that she is round to take me to the dance. This be one time when God and I see eyeball to eyeball about his will. Yours ever, Harriet Ann. Please stop here and answer question 1. Sunday night. Dear Mama, I found the best beau. He is a long, tall young man, the color of warm brown velvet. Out of all the girls at the frolic, he noticed me. Everybody wear their finest. There were grapevine hoops on some of the petticoats, and one girl had her store her dress in herbs and dry flowers, so she smells sweet every time she float by. I stitch up a buff calico dress with pearl buttons, and John make me a necklace of dried china berries, and paint it red to match the red ribbon I wind in my braids. But my young man say it was my sweet face he saw first. There was a fine big band, two fiddle, gourd banjo, wood flute, triangle, and bones. First we kick off our shoes to dance. Those hard old shoes make too much noise and hurt the feet. Then the fiddlers play the boys' favorite tune, Going to the East, Going to the West. They like it because one of the steps calls for a kiss. But don't get upset, Mama. It was respectable. We stand a foot apart without touching hands, only lips. Seems like that dance been the happiest 3 minutes of my 14 years. When folk got tired of dancing, there was beer and roasted sweet potato. But we never did wear out. Just danced till Fanny say, "Harriet, time to go." There was a big mushmelon moon, and my fellow, you want to walk me home. But I know Gran would say that was fast courting. Besides, I be seeing him around. He lives in the neighborhood. Like Daddy, he is a carpenter, and a good one, except he is a free-born man. Your happy girl, Harriet. Please stop here and answer question 2. March 1828. Dear Mama, day has turned to night. The doctor, he been whispering filthy words in my ear. I know what he want, and I am ashamed for him and me both. He follow me everywhere. It's got so I look over my shoulder all the time. Today I stepped out on the piazza for a bit of air. Soon as I heard footsteps and a low voice reminding me, "You are my property." Last week I walked over to Providence to lay a bouquet of snowdrops down on your grave. A shadow fall over me when I kneeled down. Then I turn and see the doctor, and it scared me so bad I almost run. "I won't touch you," he say, "but don't forget who you belong to." Then he say, "One day you must yield to me." I long to tell Gran, but now I know how strict she is about womanish things. If it weren't for listening to other women at Quilton's and such, I wouldn't know anything about making babies. Now I know what makes a baby, but I'm still not too sure how they get there. And even if I let out what Malcolm wants, Gran might get herself in trouble. Aunt Betty has told me a story about your sister Becky. Say when Beck was near my age, a white gentleman insult her. Gran was so put out that she run after him with a loaded pistol. Aunt Beck dead and gone, but Gran might still have that pistol. Your H. Please stop here and answer question 3. April 1828. Dear Mama, thinking about R helped me forget my trouble with the doctor. I don't dare write his name, Mama, in case Norcom find my book. I sing at a few more dances and sometimes on the street. and he'd fill up my thoughts, don't matter what the chore. Darning socks, sowing seed, walking Mary and Matilda to school, R's face swimming in front of me, like my own when I look in a rain bucket. The doctor, he knows there is somebody special, but not who it is. He don't lay a hand on me, but he think of little ways to bend my will to his. Last week, he catch me writing to Fanny. Now he slipped notes into my hand. When I claim I can't read them, he'd read them to me and say, "Do you understand?" "I understand too much, Mama." "What do I do?" Your Harriet. April 10th, 1828. Dear Mama, I write with good news. A tiny X has changed our lives again. Gran be a free woman. Miss Hannah asked the judge could he emancipate Gran, and all the papers is signed. Then Miss Hannah, she let Gran buy Uncle Mark, except Gran had to use him as security before they make her free, so he can be sold at any time to pay her debts. If only you and Daddy could have been with us all tonight sitting by the fire. Gran and Mark keep grinning at each other and passing the papers back and forth, and asking me to read them out loud till I think the words be in my head forever. That whereas Negro woman Mary, lately the property of the above Hannah Pritchard, hath this day been emancipated and freed by the Superior Court of Law of Chowden County, North Carolina. Uncle Mark tell Gran how proud he is of her, and she tell him we've been taking care of others for so long, now we gotta prove to the world we can take care of our own selves. Then I make sure Gran remember the law. You can't travel anywhere without a pass, I warn her, or the paddy rollers whip you if they catch you. They put you in jail if you can't pay the fine you back at the beginning. One slip and you a slave again. Gran is so wild with joy she don't hear half me, but she is got to know. Even with a pass, she can only travel one county beyond Chowan, and never to Virginia, since free coloreds can't enter that state. Now gone, she won't leave her family. But after 50 years of slavery, there is nothing worth the risk of losing freedom. Your daughter, Harriet Ann. Please stop here and answer question 4. May 1828. Dear Mama, Dr. Norcom, he do not let up. Been hard to keep on a smiling for Gran and her good fortune when I be scared inside. Even harder to hide my feelings from Aunt Betty. Last night she say, "Harriet used to have a light heart. When did it get so heavy and sad?" "Guess I just been growing up," I tell her. Norcom swear he will kill me if I talk, so I don't tell her or anyone, Mama, only you. Gran protect me without knowing it. Norcom is afraid of her because everybody love her. He being a doctor, he gotta keep his reputation clean. He can't afford a public scorching by her tongue if she catch him fooling with me. And I'm lucky to live in town. A plantation master have his way with any slave he want, and nobody know the difference till a light brown baby is born. Your grown-up daughter, Harriet Ann. September 1828. Dear Mama, today Aunt Betty and I make pear preserves in the great iron kettle out behind the kitchen house. John, he lift the pot, but I tend the fire all day. I show Mary Matilda how to take up the fruit with a ladle. She thinks she is helping, but she asks a string of questions a mile long, then forget the answers. She don't seem to catch on too quick. Mrs., she stare at us from the back porch, quiet as a snake. All summer long, Mrs. watch the doctor, and the doctor watch me. He try one thing and another. I would laugh if I were not so afraid. When I run out of words, he makes signs. I act like I don't understand, and then he cuss me for being stupid. Have not seen R for weeks. He's working a job in Washington County. I can't eat much. The air been too hot and still. Feel like somebody threw a conjure spell over the whole town. Harriet A. My birthday, 1828. Dear Mama, weather finally broke. The air was clear and cool for my 15th birthday. Gran baked a ginger cake in her Dutch oven and ran it over early. John swear he helped make it, claiming he broke the sugar off the can and beat the eggs. But Gran said, "Harriet, your bragging brother did not do a lick except fetch chips and bark for the oven." We had a little party out in the kitchen. John made fun of the preacher at St. Paul's. Say he looks like a Dutch oven, squat with stumpy legs. Gran, she tried not to laugh. She say, "Boy, you're worldly, too worldly." But John hard to ignore if he in a good mood. When he was out acting like Daddy, he give us a fine time. Gran watched me close all morning. She know my spirit been down. Last week she even tried to buy me from Norcom, but he is too shrewd to let me go. "Harriet does not belong to me," he answers her. "She is my daughter's property, and I have no legal right to sell her." This is a lie. He can do whatever he wants with his slaves, and what he wants is to break my will. What he don't know is I am my father's daughter, Harriet. Please stop here and answer question 5. September 1828. Dear Mama, R. come back with a pocket full of money. He wanted to buy my freedom so I can marry him. He put his arm around my waist and said, "Harriet, I know you don't love me, but will you have me?" I laughed and said, "Go along, R. If I don't love you, there's no water in the Chowan River." At first, I was too happy in myself to worry, but now I feel like two girls at once. One minute, I'm smiling because I love my sweet R. Next, I'm shaking because the doctor won't let it happen. The missus, she would love to see me sold, but what good it'd do her if I marry a local man and still be in her sight? Besides, she thinks a slave got no right to her own life. Once, I heard a slave girl tell the missus a young man wanted to marry her. Missus said, "I will have you peeled and pickled if you mention the subject again." Mama, I would not look forward to being whipped and washed in brine. Gran tells me getting married is a serious business that lasts a powerful long time. She said I'm too young to marry R, but she wanted to bring a smile back to my face. I think she's suspicion what Norcom been up to. There's a white woman in the neighborhood who has always been good to me. Gran say, ask her to talk to the doctor and beg your case. So the lady say yes, she will speak to me tomorrow. May you know that dream not over. Your anxious, Harriet. Evening. Dear Mama, Aunt Betty brought a message this morning. Doctor wanting to see you in his study. The door was open. I walk in and stare at this man who thinks he's some king, can rule my body and heart. "So you want to be married," he says, "and to a free nigger." "Yes, sir," I say softly. I swallow hard so I won't holler. "Well, if you molest your husband, you can take up with one of my slaves," he say, acting all puffed up and clever. But when I turn this charity down, the doctor blow up like a thunderstorm. "Never let me hear that fellow again," he roar. "If you even speak to him, I will cowhide you and shoot him as soon as I would a dog." Hate come over me strong today. I don't want to hear the preacher talk anymore about hell, because I already been there. Harriet. Please stop here and answer question 6. Late September 1828. Dear Mama, my dream is done. I turned this thing over in my mind till it come back on itself. Even if I could marry R, it would rain misery down on him to see me misused. Worse than that, our children be slaves. Laws say if a mama is slave, then the baby is too. So when R say he's going to Savannah to look at some land, I say, don't come back. Fly to the Free States, I cry, and make a life for yourself. We weep on each other's necks, and he promised to return and buy me one day. I let him think it, but the doctor is a block of granite, too hard and heavy to be moved. Harriet Ann. October 20th, 1828. Dear Mama, seems sad as a funeral around here. The leaves fading and falling, everything dying. The doctor has decided that Mary Matilda should sleep in his room. Being her maid, I gotta sleep on the floor in case she need me. I'm not safe in Aunt Betty's little house, but now there is no escape. Harriet. October 21st, 1828. Dear Mama, the missus find out what the doctor planned to do. She called me to her room this morning. First thing out of her mouth is, did you allow me to sleep in the doctor's room? Yes, ma'am, I say. Who told you? The master, I reply. Will you answer truly all the questions I ask? Yes, ma'am, I say, but I don't feel like I am sinking. I know the missus don't want to hear the truth about her husband. When she heard it, what would she do to me? Then I have to sit on a stool, look her square in the face, and swear on the Bible I am innocent. I tell her everything the doctor say to me these past months. She cried, but I am no fool. Those tears were not for me. She only carrying on because her marriage vow broke. Well, I am glad she know. She had ordered me to sleep in the room next to hers. Think of it, Mrs. herself going to protect me from her own husband. Your daughter, Harriet. Please stop here and answer question 7. October 22nd, 1828. Dear Mama, I had an anxious night. I wake up to hear the missus whisper in my ear. Then she moved out of the room, but I was still afraid. And this morning she accused me of talking to the doctor in my sleep. She don't seem to have much say-so over her feelings. Do you think she might try to hurt me? There is now a freedom dream in my head. John and I talk about getting over to the big north, but never in front of Gran. She can't stand to think about losing more family, not since Uncle Joseph run away from Mr. Collins. We don't have our money, and they watch us like spies, but John say a dream can cure a sick heart, so we plan every day. Your H. November 1st, 1828. Dear Mama, the doctor have a new trick. You're afraid of your mistress, he say, so I will build you a small house 4 miles out of town. He gonna set me up like a play toy in a dollhouse. This will make a lady out of you, he claim. The whole town know, but he is so stubborn that gossip don't stop him. Gran got the news in the street and asked me about it. I don't tell her how long or how bad it's been. She has high words with the doctor, but her sharp tongue can't cut through his iron will. Gran say she saw Mr. Samuel Sawyer at Standin's store. He has heard the rumors Maria Norcom's been spreading about me, and he says, Aunt Mara, I am concerned for your girl. Mr. Sawyer, he is a well-spoken man, and kind. He is the only one who helped the poor souls been lashed and left on the post at the courthouse. Dr. Norcom got no use for Sawyer. Last summer they had a falling out right in the parlor about some business matter. Norcom was acting his usual high-handed self, and Sawyer yelled at him. Then Sawyer say he is sorry for raising his voice, but Norcom never did forget or forgive. He don't like to be crossed, especially by a younger person. But if a white man like Sawyer be on my side, maybe the doctor will give up his idiot plan. Your Harriet. November 2nd, 1828. Dear Mama, the doctor gone crazy. He has sent some men out to a lonely spot, to start building a cottage, but I won't never go. I met Mr. Sawyer buying tooth powder at the market house. For a minute, I think he crossed Broad Street so we can meet, but that is vain. Gran just say because I am comely don't mean I should flatter myself. He asked about Norcom. How does he treat you, he wanted to know. Does he strike or punish you? I tell him the truth. The doctor beat me with his words, I say, not with his hands. But, Mama, I would jump off the wharves into Edmonton Bay before repeating those words out loud to a man. Harriet Ann. November 3rd, 1828. Dear Mama, this morning I got a note from Mr. Sawyer. John, he delivered a letter and teased me when I run off to read it alone. Mr. Sawyer think I am a pretty girl, Mama, and smart. It feels good to be liked by an educated gentleman. I make John swear he won't tell Gran about the note. Harriet. Please stop here and answer question 8. November 4th, 1828. Dear Mama, I've been tossing like a dinghy all night. Mr. Sawyer say, Harriet, I want to offer you my attentions. I know which attention he talking about. Seems strange that I got to decide for my own self. Maybe he using me to get even with old Norcom. Well, it be a way for me to get even, too. If I been with another man, the doctor might leave me alone for good, or maybe sell me to Mr. Sawyer. I got to settle on something soon, because that cottage going up a little higher every day. Well, Mama, I can only tell you, I might give myself to Mr. Samuel Sawyer just because he nice. To your Harriet Ann. November 5th, 1828. Dear Mama, after I walk back from Samuel's house, I look hard at myself in the window, study my face to see is it change, if John or Gran can tell what I done this day. I think my eyes look older, but maybe they won't notice. He been gentle, Mama, and make me feel special. If I can't have my sweet R, at least I can be with a man who don't own me. I don't dare tell Gran. She like to believe I am different, pure and untouched, she thinks. And she might say some hurtful things if she find out I need tenderness, like every other girl in this hard world. Your Harriet Ann. May 5th, 1829. Dear Mama, I've been holding a lot of secret inside these last 4 months. Nobody know about Samuel except you, and even you don't know about the baby. Every week Norcom tell me about progress on the cottage. I show him a blank face, so he don't know I am laughing at him on the inside. Then tonight he called me to his study. The house is finished, he say, and you must move in. Well, I think this is going to be as satisfying as Sunday supper. I won't never go there, I tell him. He say, I have heard enough of such talk as that. You shall go if you are carried by force. I won't never go there, I say again. I be a mother in a few months. He looked like he'd been struck, and leave the room without saying a word. Well, Mama, there's a few seconds of glory when I see the look on his face, but now I feel empty. The news is out, and by sundown tomorrow, everybody got to know my shame. How do I face Gran? She has kept me from harm all these years. I hope this won't make her sorry you ever had a daughter. Harriet. Please stop here and answer question 9. May 9th, 1829. Dear Mama, do you remember how Gran used to make horehound tea for our colds? She'd grab me by the collar and hold my nose, and I had to swallow that bitter tea or strangle. That's how I feel. Like Gran is holding me by the collar, and I am choking on bitter tears. Gran think Norcom is the father. You are a disgrace to your dead mother, she say. Then she tear your wedding ring off my finger. Go away, she say, and don't ever come back to my house again. So I walk 5 mile out to Southside Road. Don't hardly know where I'm going. I'm crying so hard, and I lay down in a field and think about dying. Even with the child inside me, I feel so lonesome. Mama, I was like a baby squirrel that fall out of a tree and don't know what it is. Tree been home to this little squirrel all its life, but now home is gone. I lay there till a ram horn blow for the hands to come in from the field, and then I remember your old friend who lived nearby. So I get myself up and walk to her house. Polly, she understand everything, but it wasn't the same as being forgive by Gran. If Gran don't love me, I think, nobody never could. Polly insists I send for her, but it was 3 long days before she come. Gran sits silent when I tell her everything about the doctor and Samuel and how I chose him because it seemed like a way to be free. And she put her hand on my head and say, poor child, poor child. I think Gran took pity on me, Mama, but I don't think she forgive me. Harriet Ann. Please stop here and answer question 10.